Hey Booktube, what's up? My name is Juan. I am just one reader. I am here with the 28 more random questions tag. These are 28 crazily random questions. This was created by Steve Donahue, and I'm just gonna apologize in advance. There are a bunch of questions in here that I have no answer to, and some of them I don't even know what they're referring to, but let's just start anyway. Number one, how old is your oldest living relative? Less than 80. Question number two, as an adult, have you ever been in a fight? No. No, I'm very civilized and I avoid aggression. Question three, have you ever been slapped in public? I don't think so. I think I have, but to create some kind of comedy effect, I guess. Question number four, what's the largest animal you've seen in person? I don't really like animals. The only animals that I really deal with are my dogs. But other than that, like in a, how do you call an animal museum? In a zoo? Did I just really say that? It's late. It's late. At the zoo. Oh man, once I was at an aquarium, which by the way, I think those places are hell. I mean, I am terrified of water and bodies of water, the ocean, lakes, rivers, all that is just scary shit to me. And therefore, I really am really scared of all the animals that live underwater or that are associated with water. And once I went to this kind of aquarium, I think it was at San Francisco, and they had one of these like tunnels, or yeah, I think it's like a tunnel that you walk through, and the walls are made of glass and you can see all the animals around you, and I saw a fucking shark. That's literally one of my recurrent nightmares. I am not lying. That is the scariest thing I've ever seen in my life. Question number five. Have you ever had serious surgery? Yes, in my nose. Question six. If you could only compare the novels of Cormac McCarthy to one kind of garbage, what kind would it be? This is supposed to be a really funny question, but I have never read Cormac McCarthy. Question number seven. Who would be your dream casting for Superman? I have never seen Superman or read the comics. I don't really know who Superman is. My only reference of Superman is, I don't really know who Superman is. This is basically going to be a video of Juan just making a fool of himself for 28 questions. Question number 8. What's the greatest amount of physical pain you've ever been in? Oh, that's a very good question. I honestly don't know. I am not a person who has a lifestyle, or I'm not a very adventurous person at all. I don't like going outside very much. I don't really like, adventure or danger and peril. So I don't really have those kind of opportunities for pain. I don't really know. I don't experience physical pain that much. Question number 9, do you believe in a god or gods? No. Question 10, have you ever been good and properly drunk? You should follow me on Facebook and you would have the time of your life. Question number 11, to the best of your knowledge, what's the closest you've ever come to death? Oh, Steve, this has taken a turn for the macabre. Well, I think this kind of ties in with the previous drunken question. When I was living in New York, when I was in college, I was living in New York with my best friends. And it was just a bunch of girls and me. And one night we were like incredibly drunk. Like, wow, the stories I could tell you about that night. We were all so very drunk, like ridiculously drunk. Like, Oh man, just made fool of ourselves. We were walking down the street. We didn't even make it to the bar we were going to because we were so drunk we had to actually go back home. We were so drunk. We had to um, go um, go back home and New York City subway at night, like at those unholy hours of night while drunk is one of the most dizzying things that can happen to you. It's like a torture from hell. But my point is, that night I was just kind of, dancing merrily along the streets of New York at like 4 a.m. in the morning. And one of my friends, one of my best friends ever in life, and this is a moment that really solidified the bond that would forever tie us together. She just screamed. She was like, I don't know, she was behind me somewhere. I was just dancing and probably singing to some kind of Broadway tune. And, the streets were completely empty at that hour. And suddenly, out of nowhere, I just hear this harrowing, just horrible howl coming from my friend behind me. Juan Pablo, which is my complete full name, and I just froze to death. And just then, a big truck passed by, and yeah, that's how I almost got killed. But it was worth it. Everything that happens in New York happens for a reason. But anyway, coming back to the questions. Question number 12. Which Star Trek character would the person who knows you best compare you to? I've never seen Star Trek in my life. I don't know what that is. Literally, I don't know what that is. Question 13. Have you ever had your life radically changed by a book? I really liked Steve's own answer to this question. I don't think I've radically changed because of a book, but if I had to list all the books that have informed me or made me into the person that I am today or that have made me into the reader that I am today, the list would just go on and on and on. But no, there hasn't really been a book that has really like radically changed my views on something. Question 14. Is there a universally beloved classic you simply don't like? Le Petit Prince, The Little Prince by Saint-Antoine-Exupéry. But I don't think that's a fair thing to say because I read it when I was like 12, and I think that's not the right age to be reading The Little Prince, Le Petit Prince. So I'm probably bound to read it anyway, but I hated it so much back then that I don't know when I will eventually pick it up. Question 15. What is your dream profession? A psychoanalyst, like a real psychoanalyst, seeing patients all day long. That's what I am a psychoanalyst now, but I am a training psychoanalyst. I am kind of in the process of getting there. So it's a dream because it's not easy to get there. In order to become a certified psychoanalyst, you have to do so much work and so much study, and just it's so much. It's even more in terms of dedication, in terms of hours and years of study and of practice and of clinical practice and supervision. It's more than becoming a doctor. It's longer and it's just more consuming. From what I gathered, that's the comparison that I can make. It's even longer of a more consuming as of a profession as a doctor. Question 16. Is there an entire genre of reading you're bugged you haven't fully explored? No. If I have never picked up a genre before, there's a reason for it. Question 17. When you people watch, what's the main thing you notice? This is gonna sound super pretentious and arrogant and I don't care. When I was living in New York, one of my favorite things to do, well, every time that I visit New York, this is one of my favorite things to do is people watch at the subway, because people in New York are like this different species, like these different kind of people. Everybody reads in the subway. Everybody writes the subway with a book. It's incredible, and that's what I do. I people watch, and I just see what they're reading. I watch their facial expressions, how they read, how they turn the pages, if they kind of have a gleam in their eye, if they smirk, if they laugh, how they physically manage the book while, holding on, and how they manage the people and hold the book in their hand. That's just something really crazy. So yeah, that's something that I love to do whenever I'm people watching. How people relate to their own books. Question 19. Have you ever visited any of the world what? Have you ever visited any of the wonders of the world, ancient or modern? And the quick answer is I have visited one, which is the Colosseum in Rome. But honestly, when I was there for the first time ever, I was very disappointed and very underwhelmed. And I cannot believe that I'm saying this in front of a camera, but my reasons for this is my reason for this is just incredibly I don't want to say it, but I'm gonna say it. When I was growing up, I used to love watching the Lizzie McGuire movie, and if you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm getting at. The finale of the movie takes place inside the Roman Colosseum. Lizzie McGuire and this kind of Italian pop star named Paolo, whatever, they have this big number, and there's this. It's just the best, and I just watched it constantly, and I sang the song. It was something like, "Hey now, hey now." Well, you have to imagine it an octave higher. Hey now, this is what dreams are made of. Hey now, this is what dreams are made of, or something like that. How masculine was that anecdote right there? Killing the ladies. So yeah, I was really underwhelmed when I walked into the actual Colosseum because it was nothing like the Lizzie McGuire movie. Anyway, question number 20. What are your main superpowers? Well, psychoanalytically listening to a patient or to a person is incredibly difficult and something that people are not it's something that is not in our DNA naturally. It's actually kind of the opposite of what's in our DNA. When you are casually talking to someone and listening to someone, like a friend, just casually chatting with someone, you are trained or you are just wired to listen to them and talk to them a certain way. But training as a psychoanalyst is like completely destroying that and learning something new and very complex. So that's kind of a superpower to me. Another superpower that I have is singing opera. It's not a superpower that I have anymore because I don't train anymore, but I used to train, I used to sing opera, and I used to love it. And other than that, I don't have any superpowers. I am a pretty average, random guy, and that is the best thing that you could possibly want in life, to be average, to be, sure, special, and to have your eccentricities and your quirks and the things that make you yourself and the things that make you special. But people sometimes have this kind of narcissistic, omnipotent fantasy that you have to be different, you have to be special, you have to strive for more, and you have to achieve the unachievable, and you have to do and you have to accomplish. No, happiness is not made of peaks, because with peaks come the valleys. Happiness is not peaks of emotion and excitement. Happiness is just finding your own groove and being okay with it and being fine with yourself. And that's pretty much my take on life. But anyway, 21. Have you ever met any famous people? I don't know. Probably yes, but I cannot think of anyone right now. Question 22. Have you ever slept out of doors Absolutely no, and it will never happen. I am completely scared of the outdoors. I hate it. Hate it. Hate it. I need to be somewhere I feel safe. So, anyway, 23. Would you make a good parent? Or if you already are a parent, how much do your children hate you? I love this question. I am not a parent. I am 26 and I don't think I am meant to have children. I think that would be kind of difficult. But, I think I would make a really good parent, not because I have like, I'm not bragging like, oh, I would make a really great parent, but I think I have a set of skills and tools and abilities, emotional abilities, and teaching abilities. And, I have identifications with my mom and my dad and some other figures in my life that have taught me how to be a good to have those identifications like available in if I ever do become a parent. And I kind of put this to a test when I was a teacher, and I think being a teacher and being a parent, they're not the same obviously, but they do share a lot of things in common. And being a teacher, I realized how much I do like being like a parent or a very important figure for children. I was a fifth grade teacher, which is a very complicated year in life because that's when adolescence kicks in right now. And yeah, it's crazy. And I taught for like 3 years, and I had a bunch of kids under my wing, and they really changed my life. And I really do believe that I also changed their lives. They still talk to me. They still email me and text me, and that's really the moment in life when I realized, yeah, I even though I don't really see myself having children, I do think I have what it takes. Question number 24. New Kids on the Block or the Backstreet Boys? I don't even know what New Kids on the Block means. That's kind of an ancient reference. The Backstreet Boys, however, come on, that was my childhood. Bye, 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 bye. 25. Have you ever been on stage in front of an audience? Yes, of course. I love it. Well, now that I am on in the psychoanalytical world, I have talked in some conferences. I've given some conferences. I just recently gave a kind of lecture at a psychoanalytical congress here in Mexico, and I love it. I love it. I really, really love it. I really enjoy it. But before that, I used to be on stage quite a lot when I was in my singing days. I did a lot of recitals, concerts. I performed. The last thing that I think I actually performed in a big, big, big theater, like a big fancy theater with hundreds of people watching. I performed the opera aria from the opera Carmen by Bizet, which you will probably know because the melody is very familiar. It goes dun 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 da 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 da. Well, I performed that aria, which was like climbing an Everest vocally, and I loved it. I performed it. I was like just owning it. I was planted firm on the ground on stage, and I just loved that experience. All those experiences on stage are great. This is getting long. Question number 26. At the moment, what is your favorite non-booktube YouTube channel? I follow a lot of critics, of film critics in particular, a lot of film critics. I love film criticism. Actually, if I had another YouTube channel besides BookTube, I think I would make film related videos because I love watching movies and I love learning about film criticism. So I think one of my favorite film critics is the channel What the Flick. I love them. I love those guys, and I really share a lot of their taste. So I really rely on uh, what they say is worth watching and what is not. 27. Have you ever passed out while sober? No. Thank God, no. And the last question is really cool. Question 28. How strong are you physically, intellectually, and emotionally? I think of my strongest suit, my strongest strength is emotionally. That's kind of my thing, right? That's literally how I make a living, by learning about my own emotions and my own emotional intelligence, and thus helping others. So I think my biggest one is emotionally. Also intellectually, I am not like super smart or anything. I'm really not. I mean, I've always had like straight A's at school, but that's not really intelligence. I mean, that's not a clear, real way of measuring intelligence. I think intellectual intelligence for me has to do with being able to critique and criticize and question, and having this kind of metacognitive reasoning skills. People who have straight A's all through school, that's not intelligence. And I'm saying that because I was one of those people, and that doesn't make you more intelligent or less intelligent at all. That doesn't reflect intelligence. It involves a lot of other skills that are also important in life, but really intellectual intelligence for me has to do with questioning and with thinking outside the box. So I would say I am pretty intelligent intellectually. I think I'm pretty strong. I'm not like super intelligent, but I'm doing fine, thank you. And physically, well, I'm doing pretty okay. Like I have kind of surpassed and exceeded my own expectations with my physical body. I know I don't look it, but I used to be a lot heavier. I used to be a big ball of fat and grease. I used to weigh, let me translate this to pounds. I used to be what, like 80, 85 pounds heavier than I am today. Probably more, like 90 pounds. Yeah, I think I would say 90 pounds heavier. And I was just a big rolling baby whale going through life, dancing through life. And yeah, I was heavy and I was just, yeah, in terrible shape. And it's not like I am, some kind of Calvin Klein model right now, but I am physically pretty fit. I go to the gym pretty much every day. I have gained a lot of muscle. I have lost a lot of fat and a lot of weight, and I'm doing fine. Thank you. I am not like reaching for the stars here. I don't strive to become the next Adrian Fort or anything like that, but I'm just doing fine and loving it. And that was the 28 more random questions tag created by Steve. Thank you, Steve, for creating this wonderful tag of questions. And now I am going to tag everybody who watches this video, literally, because I am very, very sleepy and I just want to go to bed. So I'm not going to start listing a lot of people. Thank you for watching. I am Just One Reader, and I will see you next time.